Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're taking a look at the Sig P365 XL. But before we get into the video, if you didn't know, Gun Deals is a website that provides you with some of the best products and prices in the industry. Whatever it is that you're looking for can probably be found on gun.deals. Now, they don't buy or sell anything. They don't take your money. They only provide you with links and point you in the right direction. So if you like saving money on cool stuff, go ahead and check them out. Once again, that is gun.deals. Now, with all that out of the way, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, as all that is free and does help us out quite a bit. Also, go ahead and comment about the last time a Sig handgun made you sad. Now, with all that out of the way, full disclosure on the Sig P365 XL is that this is actually not my handgun. Once again, I am borrowing this P365 XL, so I didn't pay my own money for it. I don't have any sort of relationship with Sig. I've reviewed Sig, optics, and handguns in the past, and generally have a overall favorable opinion of them. Now, with all of that out of the way, getting into the specifics on the Sig P365 XL. This is the Nitron version, the fairly standard version, if you will. The main differences between this and the previously reviewed P365 is this is, well, it is a little bit larger. So you, instead of a 3.1 inch barrel, you actually have a 3.7 inch barrel. Instead of a standard capacity magazine of 10+1, you actually have a standard grip module that accepts the 12+1 magazines. So you get a little bit more grip, a little bit more barrel, and other than that, they're fairly similar. Now, other than size, there are also a few other differences as well. Standard on the 365 XL is the XSeries flat trigger. So instead of the curved trigger shoe on the P365, on the XL version, you have a flat trigger. Very, very similar trigger pull. We'll get into that a little later on, but the trigger shape is different and in general, probably a little bit more preferable. Now, on top of that, this model also has an optics plate. Now, unfortunately, on the optics plate on the 365 XL, by removing it and installing a red dot, you actually do lose your rear iron sights. Now, a lot of these smaller optics, the RMSc or the Romeo 0, which is the footprint for the 365 XL, a lot of them kind of have built-in iron sights on the back of the red dot. Whether or not they will perfectly line up or co-witness, all of that is going to greatly depend on the optic that you choose. Now, I believe I could have thrown a 407K on here. However, we just tested it with the standard iron sights. Now, other than that, almost everything else is going to be very standard to what you would get on the P365. So for instance, the slide serrations forward and rear are grippy. They work quite well. Your sights are very good. You actually come standard with day and night sights. So you have a high-vis green front, blacked out rears. However, you have 3 tritium vials, 2 in the back, 1 in the front. For nighttime applications or where you don't have ambient light, you can still see your iron sights. Now, getting into the frame itself, up front, you have your accessory rail, which is proprietary to Sig. However, fortunately, these are very popular handguns. So most of the popular carry lights do have an adapter or a model for the Sig P365 or the XL version as well. Now, you also have your standard takedown lever, slide release, so everything there is going to be very standard. The grip texture itself is good. It's not quite as aggressive as like Smith & Wesson texturing or anything like that. And it does, of course, stop about 2/3 the way up. In the back, you have a little bit of an extended Beavertail, which does make it a little bit more comfortable to shoot. It does put a little bit more contact on your hand versus the standard P365. And of course, in the grip module itself, it has what they call their carry Magwell. So it is a little flared, it is a little beveled out in there, which does make mag changes easier. On top of that, of course, the grip is longer for the standard 12+1 capacity. Now, I've already mentioned it a couple times. We'll go ahead and get into the trigger pull itself. So you, of course, have the straight trigger, which breaks at a pretty much perfect 90-degree angle. Unfortunately, it is still a very standard P365 trigger. So you have very light take-up with a very defined wall. And then it's creepy, it's gritty, it's a little crunchy, and it has like a very substandard break / let off. So while it's not a bad trigger by any means, it's still like a standard P365 trigger, nothing special. Overall, the weight is at about 6.5 pounds. Now, for its intended use of a carry gun, it's quite usable. It's going to be very good, more than accurate enough. I was able to keep 12 rounds in a fist size group at about 10 yards, which I was personally very happy with, as well as take this out to 60, 70 yards without too much issue, as long as I was doing my part. Now, when it comes to actually shooting the gun and how it feels, while the P365 is a very snappy gun, this is a slightly less snappy gun. You have a little bit longer of a slide and sight radius, which also helps in accuracy a little bit. On top of that, you have a little bit longer of a grip, which helps you to get more purchase on the gun to control that recoil a little bit better. So overall, this is going to be, for most people, a little bit better in every way than the standard P365. Also going to be a little bit more flexible just in the fact that it does have a optics plate if you did want to put on a micro red dot. Now, getting back to shooting performance and how it feels to actually shoot the gun, while it is better than the P365, it is still a very snappy handgun. Now, it does have fairly decent sights and a good sight radius on the XL due to the longer slide and barrel. So in terms of accuracy, it's again a very easy gun to make shots at different distances and a little bit of extended distances for, again, a micro compact. However, the recoil on the gun does feel like it's more than a lot of other micro compacts. For instance, it feels even more than the Smith & Wesson CSX, which is actually smaller and lighter than the XL, yet somehow shoots softer, and it's not going to be anywhere near what you can get out of something like a Smith & Wesson Performance Series. This is the Shield Plus Performance Center. Now, again, it's not a bad shooting handgun. It shoots like a small, light handgun. Now, all that being said, again, when you actually need to put shots on target, you get one 12+1 standard capacity, a very slim, very concealable package with good iron sights, a decent sight radius. So in terms of accuracy, I would say it is good to very good. In terms of shootability, it's going to definitely be in that snappy micro compact genre. Now, getting into reliability, we actually did have a couple minor bobbles with the handgun. So the first one is right out of the box, I loaded up a full 12 round magazine, which was extremely hard to actually get 12 rounds in the magazine with one in the chamber to see if it would cycle off of a true 12+1 capacity. Now, the first time that I did it, it did not fully cycle, so it did not pick up the next round. It basically came back halfway, ejected the case, hashed somewhat, but again, it did not fully cycle. Now, after the first time I did that, then it would do that consistently, but again, that first time on a 12+1 capacity, it did not fully cycle. That could have been just a minor break-in thing, but again, that did happen. Now, on top of that, we also did have 2 light primer strikes with steel-cased ammunition. Now, you could probably just chalk that up to the fact that steel-cased ammunition generally has harder primers, so some handguns, some guns in general, can have issues with steel-cased ammo, getting them to cycle reliably, or in this case, getting them to ignite reliably. It did happen twice in about 150 rounds of steel case. Now, with the 124 grain Norma that we were also shooting, didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. So from what I'm seeing so far, I probably wouldn't run a lot of steel case ammunition, and I definitely would never carry steel cased ammunition. If you're shooting high quality ammunition, you're never going to have an issue with light primer strikes. So with all of that out of the way, I would say that the P365 XL is a little better than the standard P365 in basically every single way. It has a slightly nicer trigger shoe design. It has a little bit more grip, an extra 2 rounds in the magazine, slightly longer sight radius, longer slide, longer barrel, of course, for better velocity, depending on your ammunition choice. And then, of course, it also does shoot a little bit softer. So again, it is a little better in every way than the standard P365. So for most people, if you're looking at one or the other, I would generally go with the 365 XL. If you're looking for the smallest, lightest gun that you can carry that still has decent capacity, then the standard P365 definitely fills that niche. However, for most people, the P365 XL is going to be a little bit easier to shoot. It's going to have slightly more capacity, a little bit more accurate. So again, for most people, if we're not talking about price, the P365 XL makes a lot of sense. The standard P365 in general is a little bit cheaper than the XL version. However, they can both be found for the $500 to $600, especially depending on what model and make you get, and if they come with extra magazines with their TAC packs or whatever they call them. So overall, if you like the P365, you're going to like the P365 XL even more. While I do like the handgun, and I think that it performs very well, especially as a concealed carry gun. For instance, I have been carrying the standard P365 for months now, basically every day without issue. While that's not necessarily a perfect gun, it is very snappy. It's 10+1 capacity, which is good, but not necessarily the best on the market. It still concealed carries so well that I just happen to carry it everywhere because it's so easy to carry. Now, again, the XL is going to be slightly larger. I wouldn't really say that it's going to be more difficult to carry. Again, if you are really cramped for size and weight in your specific carry style, then the standard P365 will work very well. However, again, the P365 XL is just a little bit better in every way. So with all of that out of the way, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your favorite micro compact gun to carry is in the comments down below. And with all of that out of the way, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Peace out.